It works against these people behind me. Let's just unpack what Mr. Carney did in this particular case. He used his political power to convince the British government to require more expensive jet fuel for air travel. And then his company invested $1 billion in the company that was selling that jet fuel.
I want to ask about...
How did you like our rally last night?
Well, I wanted to ask about your rallies.
Thank you.
And whether size matters. I actually
when was the last time we had a rally that big in Canada?
I don't know. I've never been to a political rally that big, I don't think.
You know a lot about politics.
Well,
you're a very well-informed person. I know that if there were a bigger rally than that, you would know about it. I think so. But I think it was pretty incredible. Were any of you there? This is magic, eh? Wow. We will target tax havens, expose offshore fortunes, and bring the money home. All of this with the goal of reducing the tax burden on the people in this country. We'll do so with lower taxes for people like these great Canadians behind me. We're going to put them first for a change. We're going to cut income tax for the average worker by 15%. We're going to, so that their hard work actually pays off and they bring home more of each dollar they earn. We're gonna axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save them up to $65,000 on the purchase of a house. We'll cut energy taxes by getting rid of the entire carbon tax for everything, for everybody, for real, for good, for a change. We're also going to get rid of, here's the other idea we're going to have. I'd like to know if the small business, you're the owner, sir?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, the Liberals tried to hit you with a capital gains tax increase. I've got a way better idea than that. It's funny that Mark Carney was the economic advisor who pushed that idea while he was dodging his taxes. Here's my idea. Let's cut taxes on people who bring investment home. So I'm going to pass the Canada First reinvestment tax cut. Zero capital gains tax when you reinvest your gains here in Canada. What do you think? So if you sell an investment and you bring it here to expand your garage, hire more workers, invest in new equipment that will help you repair more automobiles, you will be rewarded with a full tax deferral while you expand Canada's investment. This will allow us to bring home the hundreds of billions of dollars Liberals have pushed out of the country with their high taxes. It will allow businesses to provide bigger paychecks for our workers. We want to protect jobs in Canada, including Canadian-made automobiles. That's why we will axe the federal sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles. Bring home our auto production. We're going to let traveling trades workers write off the full cost of their food, transportation, and accommodation. And we will back up the trades by training 350,000 young people to go through apprenticeships and work in great places like this. And we're going to unleash the production of our resources by repealing the Liberal no new development, no new pipelines law, C-69, the Liberal energy cap, gone, the Liberal industrial carbon tax, gone. We're going to unleash Canadian energy production to bring the jobs home to this country so we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength. Over. Canadians have a choice. After the lost Liberal decade, are they going to bring back the Liberals for a fourth term of rising crime and costs and a falling economy under America's thumb, or are they going to choose change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash construction, build homes and pipelines so that we can stand up to the Americans from a position of strength and put Canada first for a change? Let's bring it home. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Supreet from My Radio 580. You briefly mentioned scrapping Bill C-69, and your announcement this morning further elaborated on that. You've promised to scrap C-69 and fast-track energy projects. How do you balance out the Indigenous land rights and environmental review processes, especially in light of the recent court rulings on Indigenous consultation?
Yes, you're a very good question. After the lost Liberal decade, Indigenous rights have been trampled by this Liberal government. Liberals blocked the Northern Gateway pipeline with Mark Carney's vocal, on-the-record opposition to that pipeline, even though 80% of First Nations people along the path supported the pipeline. They killed the Tech Frontier mine, even though all 20 First Nations communities around the mine were 100% in favor of it. And the Liberals are keeping our First Nations people in poverty by blocking the resource projects that their communities support. And we interpret Section 35 of the Constitution to go both ways, that we have to consult First Nations who are opposed to projects, but we have an obligation to consult also those that are in favor of them. And make no mistake, it's the same Liberal MPs, same Liberal ministers, same Liberal strategists with the same Liberal policy. And Mark Carney testified against the Northern Gateway pipeline. So let's not, because he has a banker's haircut and he wears a normal pair of navy blue socks, don't think his position on these issues is any different than Trudeau.
Welcome to Edmonton.
Thank you. Great to be back.
When just this last December, when Mark Carney was still running Brookfield and economic advisor to Trudeau, he talked about a deal he had worked out where his whole idea was to change government policy and then have Brookfield invest. This was about jet fuel in Texas, where they convinced governments to bring in 10% biofuel by 2030, biofuel being about 80 cents per liter more expensive. So he is both advising, and then his company is signing $1 billion deal to profit. Stephen Guilbeault, Gerald Butts, and Carney's own wife, Diana Fox, is involved in the same kind of consulting. What kind of impact has this kind of way of doing business had on the Canadian people and on the Canadian economy?
Well, it's crony capitalism. It works against these people behind me. Let's just unpack what Mr. Carney did in this particular case. He used his political power to convince the British government to require more expensive jet fuel for air travel. And then his company invested $1 billion in the company that was selling that jet fuel. So if, God forbid, a family like the people behind me here want to take their kids on a vacation somewhere, they have to pay higher airplane ticket prices to fund this more expensive jet fuel so that Mark Carney's $1 billion investment can pay off. Mr. Carney is not a businessman. He is a political grifter who has used his political influence to turn decisions that profit his company at the expense of workers and seniors. And that is exactly how he would govern the country while he was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor. So he has used his political influence to rip off workers and seniors. And now, with all the political power of a prime minister, he continues to be invested in the same company, Brookfield, the same company that benefits by raising inflation, by raising energy prices, and by ripping off workers and seniors. We need a prime minister who will put Canada first for a change, who will stand up for lower energy prices, lower taxes, less inflation, bigger paychecks. I've been spending my entire adult life fighting for the people who are here behind me today, fighting for their paychecks, for their quality of life, for their future, to bring home Canada's promise. Thank you.
En français.
Merci.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Poilevre, Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. I want to ask about...
How did you like our rally last night?
Well, I wanted to ask about your rallies.
Thank you.
And whether size matters. I actually want to know about your rallies and what your strategy is and who you're talking to, because you bring up things like woke mob, Century Initiative, bulldozing the CBC, I'm exaggerating, but getting rid of CBC HQ. At what point are you just talking in an echo chamber to people who already feel that way, or do you feel like these are broadening the tent of support to Liberal or undecided voters to get them on board with your campaign?
I think it's pretty broad. I think how many people do you think we had last night?
Thousands.
Well, that's pretty obvious. I think you can be more precise than that.
I mean, the party said 10,000 register. There's reports of 15. I really can't
Wow.
say.
One last question. When was the last time we had a rally that big in Canada?
I don't know. I've never been to a political rally that big, I don't think.
You know a lot about politics.
Well,
You're a
thank you.
very well-informed person. I know that if there were a bigger rally than that, you would know about it. I think so. But I think it was pretty incredible. Were any of you there? This is magic, eh? Wow. Incredible. Listen, I think to have 10 or 15,000 people at one political rally, this is a movement like we've never seen because people want change. They want to put our country first for a change. They've seen that after the lost Liberal decade of doubling housing costs, of rising crime, of taxes out of control, of our economy weak and under America's thumb, they can't afford to live. And what they want is a new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change. And that's why my speech talked about axing taxes, greenlighting housing construction, expanding our energy sector to bring home our jobs so that we can put Canada first for a change. That was the message yesterday, and that is the message that Canadians are going to vote for change on Election Day. Thank you.
En français.
Merci.